Where does the Tea Party go, do you think, Mika? I mean, what will happen to the explosion that came from that Tea Party? I mean, do they subside having made their point? I mean, when, most of them were defeated.
I don't know where it goes. I think a few fringe elements fell off in this past midterm election, which is good. I think they have a message that is potentially very credible, but it still has a long way to go. I would just add that Marco Rubio won for a reason, and Sharon Angle and Christine O'Donnell lost for a reason. Marco Rubio had a good campaign, a good, solid message, and his timing was right. In terms of the Tea Party overall, I don't know. I mean,
Sarah Palin, nobody's uttered those words yet.
That's not really...
Sarah Palin single-handedly lost the Republican Party the U.S. Senate. I would not be doing these grisly commercials at the end unless the bear rises up and then dies. She screwed the Republicans, and she's bragging about it.
Yeah.
Well, she's the dominant force apparently now in that party, which is a very good thing for the Democrats. It's why.
Where does that?
But here's why.
Or
she
not,
can.
Because she'll explode, and then somebody else will come forward at the right time.
But she is so charismatic, and she is so. Such a powerful, crowd pleaser. That where is that energy going to be put in terms of the next election?
If you think about it, if you think about Joe's party,
don't say that.
In the last half century.
That's not fair.
Tonight I declare I'm an independent. Go ahead.
You think about the Republican Party.
Yeah, they're thinking.
In the last 50 years, the party of Nixon was more conservative than the party of Eisenhower. Right? Certainly the party of Reagan was more conservative than the party of Nixon. The party of Gingrich was more conservative than the party of Reagan. The party of Bush was more conservative than the party of Gingrich. And the party of Sarah Palin makes Newt Gingrich look like Che Guevara. I mean, she is going to pull that party so far to the right. I cannot wait. I mean, I can't wait for the debates, and this is why Obama's a very good bet to be reelected, because the Republicans seem to be...
Scott Brown wins in Massachusetts. Mark Kirk wins in Illinois.
Right.
I mean, all of these areas where, and that's what I'm saying. Everybody talks about the Tea Party.
But they're already targeting Scott Brown. The Tea Party people are already targeting him.
And Scott Brown's going to win. The idea that the Tea Party applies equally across the country, that is BS. I mean, the Tea Party's work in South Carolina,
but they
Florida,
worked in Delaware, and
Utah.
they worked in Utah, and they worked in Nevada.
Well, against the Republican Party,
that's what I mean. They're pulling the party so far to the right.
They elected Democratic candidates in some blue states.
They did.
The question for the Tea Party and their influence will be whether or not the threat that Jim DeMint will hold over the head of every Republican up for re-election in 2012. Will any of them be willing to vote with Obama, vote with Harry Reid, vote with a Pelosi, vote with Democrats who may have good ideas? Will they be willing to cross the line of DeMint? Or will they not? I agree. I don't think their impact from a policy, I think their impact from a policy making is huge. Not because they'll be making the policy, because they're going to scare everybody from not wanting to come to the table and make it. Because if Obama comes to the middle, he's going to anger some of the lefties. He's going to anger some people on the network that I work for, and the two of you definitely work for, who work on the evening. The question is whether or not he's able to hold some moderate Republicans. But again, and if Jim DeMint says, I promise, if you vote that way, we're going to run a Tea Party candidate against you. And watching the success of the Tea Party, which was a primary success. I mean, you've said this before, a primary success. Then if you're sitting in the Senate, you don't want a primary fight.
But
if you do, you're just not going to see real.
We've got to look at Scott Brown.
Isn't this what is really, watching this is what really is turning off so many voters? And to get back to Paul's first point,
let me just finish on this really quickly, though. You got to look at Scott Brown really quickly. Scott Brown has already angered the Tea Partiers. Okay? They've already said and Scott Brown is the most popular politician in Massachusetts. And Scott Brown doesn't give a damn what the Tea Partiers think. Now, if you're Nikki Haley in South Carolina, you do.
It's geography.
It's all geography. Democrats did pretty well out west. Democrats did well in the Northeast.
But how many times has Scott Brown voted with Obama?
Do you feel that people are just so turned off by this whole process right now that there's almost a sense that the action is moving out of Washington, that in a way people are just giving up on Washington?
What's moved out of Washington?
Well, do you feel that people are just giving up on Washington? Because there's a real sense, I think, and that was what the Tea Party movement was about, which was the sense that nothing can seem to get achieved in Washington, that we're endless stasis, it seems, with this row that continues to go on and is stuck.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the country desperately needs action.
Oh, we're definitely there. And I think that's why both parties, fair to say, Joe, look kind of alike to the average voter today, and why we saw such a rapid swing on the part of independents that might have voted Democrat 2 years ago.